Hey, Pastor Steve Waldron. I hope you're having a great day or night in Jesus. Thank you so much for being with us. We're here in Holy Ghost Studios because of my fractured ankle. Appreciate Sister Waldron setting it up. So we're looking at how did evolution become the predominant viewpoint of much of Western science. And so obviously it wasn't before 1859. There had been hints and nuances at it, but science was basically, without going back into the Greeks and into the Islamic community and the Chinese community throughout history, Averroes and the different ones, but it really started in 1859, that this was a seemingly universal way to have a cogent worldview with really no need for God, even though in The Origin of the Species by Darwin, he was very delicate on that. I've read Darwin's autobiography. His only degree in his whole life was a degree in theology, unless he got some honorary degree somewhere or something. But as far as an earned degree, it was a degree in theology. He was going to go into a life of theology. In his voyage on the HMS Beagle, kind of changed that. His grandfather with the Hellfire Club in the 1790s, Zoonomia, the Temple of Nature. I should have reviews of both those books here on YouTube if you want to check them out. He did a quasi theory of evolution even then. But Darwin's book was the bomb that exploded, so to speak. Only 1,000 copies, 1,200 copies or something to begin with. And so there was something, if you study throughout history, T.H. Huxley was known as Darwin's bulldog, with the X Club. And basically certain people in positions, especially in Great Britain, began to only hire fellow evolutionists. It was somewhat of a secret society. It's definitely, let's say, a hidden society, if you don't like the term secret society. And so basically creationists were individuals, and this club kind of froze creationists out. And then there were positions and assistant positions in various places. You tended to go with people who had a consensus for evolution. Evolution, of course, Darwin changed somewhat from 1871, The Descent of Man, from 1859, The Origin of the Species and the Struggle of Favored Races and the struggle for life, the subtitle for it. And that, but they had this overarching view that basically from simple forms to fuller forms. And there was a lot of concessions that Darwin made, and he said, as things are found further, they'll be found. And any objective, somebody was just to not have a dog in the race. If you looked at like the fossil record, you would notice that it's missing entire chains, that it's missing, that in the Cambrian level, everything is fully formed and fully filled, just bigger. And about 80% of things are now extinct. And so there's no gradual from simple to complex. The tree of life is turned on its head. And this is Michael Behe with his irreducible complexity, that the smallest objects are incredibly complex. They're not just protoplasm. And so it gradually went from Great Britain to Germany. I've read history on this. You may have as well. It was much more difficult to get into the United States, but it eventually did. A lot of people forget that the Scopes monkey trial, that Scopes lost that it was voted you shouldn't teach the theory of evolution, no matter how Clarence Darrow kind of made fun of an aging Williams Jennings Bryan there. And so you had the X Club, but I do want to say, just in the fallen human heart, that the human heart is constantly, as Calvin says, an idol factor. And so humans go for error. And so That's how it gradually gained the ascendancy. And then the specificity, the hobbiting of science, that people only dealt in specialties. So you never saw necessarily how your scientific viewpoint was affected across the entire scientific spectrum. So instead of polymaths like Newton, that you had people that just looked and thought, well, maybe there's problems here, but the rest of the science, since it's a scientific consensus, it must be right. But truth is not necessarily just scientific consensus. It's repeatability and observability, and these type things. And then Occam's razor, what fits the best with the available evidence. And I think anybody looking at that objectively would say the creation saga of Genesis 1, male and female, and kinds. So that's how it got to be predominated, is basically through people promoting other people with like viewpoints. And I'm not saying it was a secret society or a secret club in every case. Sometimes that's just birds of a feather flock together. So God bless. Thanks for being here. Put it on social media. Share with your friends and family. Bye-bye.